This is my research project on the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. So the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn is technically considered a secret or mystic society, esoteric society, whatever you want to call it. Not explicitly religious, but they do draw in very heavily from a lot of other older religious ideas, which is why I consider them a religious organization. I don't feel like that's that big of a stretch. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was originally founded in Victorian-era London, 1888, by William Wynne Westcott, Samuel Little Mathers, and William Robert Woodman. The original organization, is no longer active. It was officially dissolved in 1903, but original members splintered off into other groups based off of similar ideas with a few differences in beliefs and practice. One of them is the Builders of the Adytum, which I have a close friend who is an active member in, and I actually went to a study group where we studied a tarot card with him a few weeks ago. It was very interesting. There are also modern revivals of the original order. One started in the 70s, along with a few others. The original order had probably around 100 members, but it's hard to estimate how many active members there are. I would estimate, based on the niche nature of this order, that there are probably only a few thousand active followers, not including the splinter groups like the Builders of the Adytum and so on. The order draws inspiration from different, much older religious systems. They believe in karma and reincarnation. They take a lot from Egyptian, Greek mythology, Rosicrucianism, Hermeticism, obviously from the name, Kabbalah, etc., and so on. Followers believe they can use ceremonial magic and rituals to better understand the world, the universe, and other people and themselves. They believe this is all the pathway to enlightenment. The presence of Kabbalistic rituals points to the influence of Abrahamic religion. They also use a lot of Christian imagery. But they are not specifically Jewish, Christian, or Islamic. In fact, it seems there is very little, if any, influence from Islamic religion in the Golden Dawn. This religious group is unique because they draw influences from all over to create their own, which is not unheard of, but a pretty early example of something like this occurring. It seems like the Golden Dawn seems to be the predecessor of a lot of modern esoteric practices like Wicca, witchcraft, etc. and so on. The way the order functions seems very complex. They use tarot, which in fact, modern tarot is heavily influenced by the designs and decks created by the original founding members of the Golden Dawn, although the actual history and origins of tarot is much older and much more obscure. Meditation is highly involved, along with rituals that involve Kabbalistic traditions, sacred geometry, etc., and so on. The order did have a hierarchy, not necessarily a clergy, but hierarchy. Pardon me while I stir my caramelized onions. I'm making scallop potatoes tomorrow. They do have a hierarchy. There's no real technical clergy or anything like that, like I said before I stirred my onions. There are 3 sections of orders with multiple sub-rankings within each order. Each ranking has a set of paired numbers attached to the title. So for example, Neophyte, which is the starting point within the first order. Neophyte has the numbers 0 equals 0 attached to it. The zeros represent their position on the tree of life. So first 0 is how many steps from the bottom of the tree they are. The second is how many steps from the top they are. As they advance through the ranking, the numbers change. They're not always equal. Some of the rankings have like 3 equals 7, or something like that, which would indicate that they're closer to the bottom of the rank than the top. And it doesn't always just go straight up either. Like it seems like a lot of the rankings, they go back down, and some of them go back up. Followers have to study and practice and then demonstrate what they've learned to advance forward. The original order was a secret society, as mentioned before, so all of their texts and knowledge were hidden from public view. The only reason we know this much about them, the only reason I'm able to do this project at all, is because of books and writings which were published after their dissolvement. In 1937, Israel Regardie published the book The Golden Dawn, which is a sort of tell-all about the secrets of the original order. He goes into a lot of detail about like initiation rituals, more complex rituals, what they believe, their ethics, practices. Modern versions of the Golden Dawn and splinter groups like Builders of the Adytum are bound to secrecy, like the original. And whenever anything gets quote-unquote leaked about what exactly goes on in their groups, they deny their validity. So it's unclear, unless you're an active member, what is actually true and what actually goes on behind closed doors. Like I said earlier, I went to an open study group where they invite people who are not active members to come in and talk to current members, and they do a study group. It was really cool, and since it was an open thing, I can talk about it. We studied a tarot card. It was the High Priestess card. We did a guided meditation, and then we did a sound and color board, which I thought was really cool. Sound and color, if you don't know, sound and color is they match up colors on a board with chords on a piano, and you're supposed to harmonize with whatever feels natural and focus on the color on the board. And it has this kind of like communal meditative effect. It was really cool. Everybody there was super welcoming, very polite and open to conversation and discussion. I was a little bit nervous, so I didn't talk as much as I would have liked to, but very cool nonetheless. Onions. As for ethics, they're not really very strict. They seem quite libertarian in their views of the world and the universe and other people. They believe in spiritual evolution, obviously, and promoting the growth of the individual, and through the individual, and promoting the growth of the masses. Free will is a very major component. You can't fix anyone else or help them be better unless they want to. Interference as a whole seems like a big no-no. It seems like they, I suspect this is all personal, founded in no fact. I suspect that because the original group had semi-Christian influence, but not direct or explicit Christian influence, that the focus on not interfering on others, on not forcing things down people's throat, is kind of a rebellion against Victorian London, the classic colonizer view of the world, where you believed that God had given you the world and that it was your job to fix other people in the name of God. It seems to me that this belief is a rebellion on that concept, but who am I to say? One cool thing, they follow the phrase, "and it harm none, do as ye will," which is a classic Wiccan read. Another thing that they influenced. Essentially, that phrase, "and it harm none, do as ye will," means do what you want as long as you don't hurt anyone else, which I think is very well intended. I know a lot of people who follow those rules who are not Wiccans, and I think it's neat. Something I think is very interesting about this is it's a secret society, not necessarily a religious secret society, but they kind of are. But they were influenced by Freemasonry and Templars, other secret societies that were evolving at the time. But distinctively, they allowed women to participate in the group. women also were not segregated from the men. They were allowed to participate and be active community members and influence and participate in discussions just as much as anybody else. And I think that is very incredible for a group that was put together in the Victorian era in London in 1888. That's all I have about the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.